Super excited to be here with Ben Metzinger, a third baseman in the Brewers system. How's it going, man?
It's good, man. It's been a fun year. Had my ups and downs, but it's been a good year so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to start with this, though. I'm a big Office fan.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, maybe a few games ago, you caught, I'm trying to think, is it Kay Flannery?
Yeah.
The first pitch from Kay Flannery?
Yeah.
How was that? I don't know if you're like a big Office fan, but just that whole experience, dude. What was that about?
Huge Office fan. I've watched it probably like 8 times through.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know like a lot of the episodes through and through. So, yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
You got a favorite episode?
I have a favorite. I mean, the episode I probably would have to go through because there's so many.
Yeah.
But scene, I'd say my favorite scene is the one where they're doing CPR. That scene where there's just tons of stuff going on. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it was a great show. I will say this, maybe hot take. Parks and Recs might be my favorite show of the two.
That's what my brothers have told me, but I've never got into it. It's hard when you're an Office fan to get into it. And I heard the first season's kind of slow, and I tried the first season.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
Like, I watched all of The Office through, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to check out Parks and Recs. And I did.
Yeah.
The first season, I think it was like 8 episodes. It was slow. And then like once you get into it, like it's incredible.
That's
I highly recommend it. Question for you. So Brandon Woodruff was just here. I heard he kind of hooked you guys up with steaks and stuff like that. How is it just having like a big leaguer here and someone who's been where you want to be, like in the majors and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome experience. Just to, I had a couple talks with him. I just like small talk with him, but I mean, it's cool because he seems just like a guy like any of the other guys on the team. They're the same way. They made it. That's the only difference. And obviously, getting nice spread afterwards is really, really good. So
is that kind of motivational or like motivating to see like someone like him come back? You're like, okay, he was just in like Appleton not too long ago.
Absolutely. I mean, I had some guys last year come here too, and they're the same way. They're really cool, really nice. Last year we had 2 guys rehab. I came here for 5 weeks after I got drafted, and I had 2 third basemen actually come. So I got to sit back, and I obviously sat and they played, and I got to watch them play and then go in after because they only play like 7 innings. So it's really cool.
That's super cool. Were you able to talk? You said you kind of talked to Brandon a little bit. Like, were you able to pick his brain at all? Just about like
No, I didn't want to bother him too much. I don't like to bother the pro guys like that too much. But last year I got to pick the brain of is it Mike Brousseau or I got to him and then Jace Peterson, and I picked their brain because we were taking ground balls out there, and I just got drafted, so I was pretty nervous still, and I got to pick their brain a lot, so that was really cool. Dude,
I love that. So you were drafted last year in the 7th round by the Brewers. Where does your baseball story start? Like, where did it all begin for you? Like a summarized version.
I mean, I started playing T-ball when I was 6, and I have 3 older brothers, and they all played too, so I kind of just followed their lead. They all kind of fell off when they got, like, towards high school. They never played high school baseball. They played summer ball, and they all fell off. And I was about to fall off too. I was like, I guess this isn't for me. I wasn't too good, and then my dad was like, listen, you need to keep trying. Like, he saw something in me, and I was going to quit. I really was, and my dad kept me in there, and I'm glad he did. So that's kind of how my story goes. And I went to Louisville, which Louisville is camp is about 15 minutes away from where where I'm from. So,
so what year in high school was that when you were, like, almost quitting? Because I never knew that.
So, all of my brothers were homeschooled, so they never got to play high school baseball, and they never got to, and I was also homeschooled, so we always played summer ball. But
I was too, by the way. So I guess we can have that in common.
Nice. Not too many homeschoolers, so that's awesome. Yeah, so I wasn't going to go to high school. I was just going to be homeschooled my whole life until college. And my dad was like, listen, like, since you're going to keep going with this, you need to go to high school. And so I went to a high school where I knew the head coach. He was my summer ball coach.
Okay, good for your dad for doing that too.
Yeah, so it was a really good private school, Catholic school that I got to go to.
How was like the whole recruiting process? Obviously, you go to Louisville. Like, were there other schools you were interested in?
Yeah, it was really quick. So it was my sophomore season in high school, and at the beginning of the season, I got, like, the very beginning of the year, I started getting a look at from Xavier, and then Kentucky, and then Louisville, and those 3 schools latched onto me in like a month span of the beginning of the season, and I got my offer from Xavier.
Nice.
Then Kentucky, and then right when Kentucky offered me, Louisville was like, don't. I remember the call with the guy recruiting me. He was like, don't accept any offer from Kentucky. We want to talk to you.
That's sick.
Yeah, right when I got my offer from Louisville the same day, I accepted it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's probably hard to turn down Louisville, just like their storied history and like all the players. Like, you just think about all the like top draft picks that they've had come out of Louisville. Do you get annoyed, or I don't know, maybe people who go to Louisville get annoyed when they call it like Louisville and mispronounce it? Is that like a thing for you guys?
It doesn't bother me, but yeah, it's Louisville. You're supposed to say like Louisville, like,
Yeah.
like that, like a deep voice, like Louisville.
Yeah.
So like
the first time I said Louisville, someone's like, "Yo, dude, it's Louisville."
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh snap, my bad."
My brother's name is Lewis too, so
Okay.
it's like, and it's spelled the same as the beginning of Louisville, but yeah, it's different. You're supposed to say Louisville, but
That's awesome. So when did you know in college, or actually, what was the favorite team to play? What was your favorite team in college to play against? Maybe the fans were a little extra chirpy, and you're like, "Oh man, I'm gonna go 2 for 4, a couple bombs."
I mean, I guess I have to go to Texas A&M. My last college games, we went to Super Regional in Texas A&M my senior year, and they had, I mean, it was like, I don't know how many fans. I'm going to say upwards of 10,000.
Wow.
And it was like, and we would go out there to the field. I'd run out there, and the ground would be shaking. Like, it was crazy. Like, there's been good games here, but that environment was crazy. I mean, college is just a different level because you want to win at a different level in college, and whoever won that was going to Omaha. So I'd say the Texas A&M fans were really cool to play in front of.
What was the best chirp you've heard?
Chirp? Well, I'll go back to that. Right off the top of my head, I'm sure there's some bad ones at Ole Miss. I remember when I played there. But I don't want to say those. But going back to what I was saying, like when we were at Ole Miss, or not Ole Miss, Texas A&M, I was at third base, and I mean, I can't even hear my thoughts for a lot of the time. And then like it randomly got quiet, and I remember just like going to my ear like this to go like this, and then someone was like, "Hey, 22, what's in your?" And then said F word in your ear, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't do anything without getting chirped." So
fans are vicious.
Oh, so bad. It was funny though.
That's crazy. So when was your if to when moment when you stopped thinking to yourself, if I get drafted, when I get drafted? Because you're drafted in the 7th round, and you started thinking to yourself, when I get drafted.
So you're talking about like during the draft when it was going to happen?
In your whole college experience. Like when was that moment where you're like, okay, I know I'm getting drafted?
So it was my sophomore year. I was a catcher. I went to Louisville as a catcher. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was a catcher only.
Did you catch throughout like all?
Yeah, I was only a catcher.
Okay.
That's the reason I got recruited to Louisville, was because I was a really good catcher. It wasn't because I was a good hitter obviously too, but I was a really good catcher.
Yeah.
And I came into the class with Henry Davis, who's the first overall pick. So we were both really good hitters. In sophomore year, they moved me to third base.
Okay.
So we could both be in the lineup, and he would be catching. And they were just like, my head coach was like, "You think you could play third base?" I was like, "Absolutely. I mean, it's a turf field. I should be able to create my own hops. Should be easy."
Yeah.
And turned into a third baseman. I popped off. This was the COVID year. In like 15, 20 games, I was hitting like 400 for a little bit with a couple home runs and making some crazy plays at third base.
Wow.
And then COVID hit, and then I was a draft eligible sophomore, so I was like, if I play out this season, I could get drafted this season. And then COVID hit, and then junior year, I hurt my back, and I missed pretty much my entire season my junior year. So that's when I kind of went on that downslope of like, man, I don't know what's going to happen now. And then senior year, I was just like, I was supposed to go to the Cape Cod League 2 years in a row. And senior year, I stayed at home. I trained, I rehabbed my back, and then like, I just knew it was going to be my year. I was going to put everything in that year. And the thing was, I didn't care if I got drafted. I was like, you know what? It's either for me or it's not for me. Like, I'm going to give everything I got for this team. I was a senior captain. I just wanted to be, I wanted to be the best teammate, best leader I could be for that team. And it all worked out.
That's awesome. So how was your whole draft experience?
Oh, it was stressful.
Hey, shout out to your brother who took a sweet video too, though. Yeah, I saw that.
Video is cool. He does a great job with the video stuff. It was stressful. I was thinking like, my agent was kind of telling me like 4th through 6th round, like a money saver senior signee. And so I was kind of expecting 4 through 6, and it was like halfway through the 6th round. I hadn't heard a thing from my agent. Yeah, and I was like, oof, this is getting stressful. This is getting scary a little bit. And then I texted him. He's like, we're trying to get you in the top 10 rounds. So I was like, ooh. I was like, I got this party here. Like, my family's here. I'm a little stressed right now.
Yeah.
And, like right after he told me that, Miami called me, and then I told him about Miami calling me. He's like, we got you a deal with the Giants in the 7th round, and then last second Brewers swooped in and got me before the Giants. Yeah.
They were the pick right before the Giants?
A couple picks, like 3 or 4, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Well, that's
obviously, really you got decent signing bonus. Like, what was the first dumb purchase you bought?
Dumb purchase? I bought with my I wouldn't say it's a dumb purchase, but
or big purchase.
Big purchase. I spoiled my family on Christmas because I've never really care to buy things for me, and
Sure.
I owe everything to them. My family is, it's why I do it, really, and so I drive the bag for my family.
That's
for
sick.
sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. So this question is from a Instagram page called Brewers Farm. I'm sure you've probably been tagged at some point by him. He wants to know what's the biggest adjustment to pro ball from like college.
I was actually just talking to my buddy Luke Smith, who went to Louisville today, and I'd say the adjustment that I've learned this year is really just being able to turn the page each day and taking your small victories that you can every single day, even if it's a tough day, because it's professional baseball. You learn when you get out here, everyone's just like you. They're all chasing the same dream, and they're all just as good as you, if not better. I mean, if we weren't all somewhat similar in talent, we probably wouldn't be in high A right now. You know, we'd be getting moved up. So it's like you got to take your small victories. And in college, you're playing 4 days a week. You have time to like get the mind right, get in the cage a little bit more. And that was what I did in college. And so this year it's been kind of harder to, my swing hadn't felt good. It didn't feel good the first half of the season. I'm kind of picking it up a little bit, but it's hard to, get all that extra work and get that time to just mentally decompress a little bit. And so just learning that I think is important. I think that's something I'm going to take into the off season and really try to hone in on.
Yeah. That's awesome. So this question is from a Brewers podcast. They're called the Brewers Babes. They're also on Instagram.
Okay.
And they wanted me to ask you this. They wanted to know what was the most fun celebration you've ever had in a baseball game? Like
one celebration, I'd say, either winning the regional.
Yeah.
Winning the regional has got to be up there. Last year or my senior year, or hitting a walk-off home run against Moorhead State.
Awesome. That's great. Well, hey, I want to thank you for coming on.